Stevens Point Board of Water and Sewerage Commissioners meeting, recorded April 11, 2022.
We've got May online. Hi, May. No, Anna said she wasn't coming. Can you hear us, May? You're on mute. Okay, I can see you shaking your head. Good deal. All right, we're gonna go to this, and we'll record that Ray and Anna are excused.
All right, let's begin. First item is the roll call, which will be documented by, as usual. The next is the approval of the minutes of last month. Move to approve, Ms. Carl.
Second, May.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Now we're on to the department claims. As usual, we'll start with water. Any questions?
On the MasterCard 56491, wondered what the ADA compliance issue is. Must have been small, but
Yeah, we had a survey done recently, and they gave us a list of, I'd say the bigger items counted between 7 and 9, and there were like 3 that we could take care of right away. And I think that probably what's on there is we had some plumbing wrap for under the sinks where you basically insulate the stuff.
Sure.
So we did that in both bathrooms. There were some other things too, but I don't think they would have hit the MasterCard. Is that what that was? Okay.
Anything else for water department claims?
Nope.
All right, let's go on to sewage. Any questions there?
I have none.
What was that, me?
I have none.
Okay. All right, and then we'll go on to public utilities, or stormwater, I should say.
Yep.
Questions? If not, a motion to approve is in order for all 3 entities.
So move, Nachman.
second.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, item number 4 regarding reconstruction projects and that are going to be going on this summer. Joel?
Yeah, so there's really a lot more information that I kind of can share and want to share than I could fit into a reasonably sized memo. So I want to just explain kind of what's going on here. For several years now, we've been planning, approving, and constructing projects that are in the 5,000 to 7,000 centerline foot size, so a little over a mile. And when we did these estimates, actually the project that we were estimating didn't have the 2 alternates in it that we're going to end up approving, and we were at least 30% low just because of everything we've seen through inflation and everything else. So this year's projects, as they came back with the alternates, kind of need to be constructed because of the way the utilities lay out. Truncating the project at any certain place makes it actually more challenging, not easier, because, well, as we know, sewers run downhill, so where you're running that sewer to makes a lot of difference in the logic of the project, and we're reconfiguring some streets at the same time we do that as far as the utilities are concerned. So you can see in bold the water sewer storm column on the left. That is the low bid amount of the base bid plus 2 alternates for this project, which again is more scope of project than we had planned on. And then the amounts to the right are their estimated amounts, with the exception that the sewer one had an issue in it. We reported the wrong number there during estimating. So we estimated a smaller project, we estimated low because of inflation, we'll do a better job of that in the future. But the big thing that I wanted to really talk about as a group was just the fact that this pace that we're on is where we need to be. We need to be able to say that we're pretty close to replacing our infrastructure every 100 years, right? And a 7,000 foot project actually is 0.8% of our infrastructure. So that's not 100 years, it's more. So we're on pace, we're getting closer to on pace, but the point is that this project was more expensive than we expected, but there's no reason to think it's gonna be cheaper next year. So we just need to keep going, and we'll do what we need to. This actually just opened up recently, so we have a little more legwork to do to say the years ahead, and this year, you know, make sure that we're accounting for it through rates and borrowing and everything like that, and doing it in a way that doesn't drop our cash below zero, right? We need to maintain the financial strength we've had for so long. So this will go to Public Works tonight. I'd like to be there to let them know we talked about it and that the commission is supporting this also. But I also wanted to give the opportunity to talk about whatever concerns you guys might have.
Joel and I talked about it, and, you know, it wasn't even 9 months ago that the president was denying that we were having an inflation problem. And within the last 4 to 5 months, he's finally conceded that, not only the president, but Jerome Powell, who's the chairman of the Federal Reserve, said we screwed up. And I know at our business in the last 18 to 24 months, we've raised our wages from about, for tellers, which is one of the lower paid employees that we have, from between $10 and $11 an hour, we're paying now closer to 15 to 18, because you have to, because of what has happened with the workforce and inflation. So I think that's the primary reason. I mean, if you think about these companies, they've gone from paying probably $14 to $15 an hour to upwards of 22 to 26 based on what I see. So
yeah, and there's individuals on crews like this that are in well over that. They're 40s, 50s operators, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, they're
what's the new reality is the bottom line. And I said to Joel, I think we've got to try to get our estimators who have been, were much closer before, because interest rates were at zero for 9 years. And so he's promised that he's going to sit down with the appropriate people and kind of mentor them into understanding some of this stuff. It's easy to get in a rut and just do things the same way for a long time.
Yeah, and one of the big things too is that we didn't estimate a project this big. So had we, you know, done that, we'd be closer. But nonetheless, the engineer's estimate on the total project, I think it was 4.6 million, and we came in at 6.4. So that's a big bite. Yep.
But you also have to realize I did order some parts, and the supplier told me last week 40% increase on parts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
if you can get the stuff.
well, exactly.
if they deliver it, yeah.
Right.
We actually were told that if you order ductile pipe right now, you'll get it next season.
We have to use a lot of envelopes at the bank, and window envelopes, and we've had some ordered since January, and the envelope makers who buy the film for the window can't get the film.
Oh.
So fortunately, we were going to go out and buy a whole bunch of them from Staples instead of having them printed up with our logo and everything on it. And 2 days after I suggested we do that, we got a whole bunch of them, so it worked out. I ordered a new car in January, usually take 6 to 8 weeks, and they told me, well, don't sign this order form unless you agree that it's going to be 6 to 10 months.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, so we need a motion to approve.
Now, you had said you went in with an estimate from the designers at 4.6 million, and now it's 6.4. Is that the scale of the increase in between the numbers that
Yeah, so
estimated, or?
yeah, so actually, and that was on the base bid. So 6.4 or so on the base bid award, but we're actually awarding 2 alternates to it as well. So we're over 7 million on this project. So that's why it's expanded even further.
Sure.
Yeah.
In the scale of these, what's the relationship of sewer, water, and storm, what the city is putting in for
Um,
roads and curbs and?
Sure, so you've got, 3, 4, and, we're generally speaking, between 40 and 60% of the whole project is utilities. This year and last year, we're definitely more on that 60% or more side, because the storm sewer on this project is very, very large. And the rock excavation, in that part of town, adds, it hasn't through cost in the actual item for rock ex, but they're hiding it in the pipe cost. So I'd say I didn't do the math, but we're probably 60% of this project, given the numbers here. Cause if that's a $7 million project and we've got, another 2.5 there on 3, 5.5, yeah, we're probably over 60%, quite a ways.
Well, I think what your memo calls out is, the competitive bidding. It's not like we had one contractor.
Right.
And you say, oh gosh,
Yeah,
everybody's busy.
I think the total range was 7%, 7% from low to high.
Yeah.
And there were 5 bidders or 4? Four bidders, and they were all within 7% of each other. And a couple of them were, I think it was under 1%.
Between the first and second bid was $100,000.
Yeah, on a $7 million project, yeah. So they're all bidding really tight, which is good to see. If we had 2 bids and they were 40% apart, we'd have a problem, right? Yeah.
That's why I would agree and why I would support continuing this, march of
Yeah,
rebuilding, because once you're behind, you're
yeah.
never gonna
You're not gonna catch up, right?
Okay, so,
I would support it as, if you need a motion, that's how I would support.
yeah, I think because of the difference between the estimates and the real numbers, I think it's important for us to vote on it.
Second?
That's sufficient?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, all those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. All same sign, motion carried. Water supply. Eric?
Good afternoon, everyone. As you can see, water is, a lot higher than last year. It is definitely the paper mill still. I think it's our new trend. They're definitely using our water, instead of river water, for cooling and cleaning. So we're gonna see that, I think, for a while here. Middle of this month, they will be tying into our distribution system for their fire protection instead of using river water as well. Currently, they pull out of the river, I believe, but that will be tied into on April 23rd or 25th to our system inside their facility. The only thing I had to add was well 12 pumping. The well has been installed, and tomorrow they will start the 24-hour test pump. So by the end of the week, we'll have samples sent into the labs to see what the quality looks like. See, that's the next item as well, so we can maybe tackle any more questions, get them there or here. All I really have is just those 2 items.
So your last comment was related to agenda item 6, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Joel, do you wanna add anything to 6?
Just that this is the next scope of services actually inside already approved capital, because their scope here is inside of an item that we had approved that was $700 and some thousand. So this is just what's up next. I wanted you guys to have it, be able to review it. We've been through a couple meetings with them to tighten it up, give more explanation. And, one of the more useful things on here that you'll see is, as it stands right now, page 22 of 29, or of 49, which is how it's shown on here, shows the, opinion of probable construction cost at $1.6 million. And that is once we get into design and construction phase, project-related costs associated with constructing the new well, constructing the transmission down to the existing treatment facility, and doing the improvements inside that treatment facility to not only accommodate the new well, but just bring some things up to kind of current technology and integrate with our SCADA better than it ever has. So that's where we stand right now, but really we're not looking for that as an approval. Their scope of services for engineering through this part of it is $307,000.
I'm sorry to be so bad of a memory, but remind me where 12 is going to be?
So where well 4 is at the bottom of the hill, if you go west of Hilltop and you hit the bottom of the hill and you look north, there's that driveway up there. That's well 4. and well 4 treatment plant. Where we're drilling a test well is up the hill at the far end of Ridge Court. So you can dang near see it from well 4, but it's up on top of the hill. And once we get results back from the test well, we'll see if that's the location we wanna go with, and then we'll pursue land acquisition.
And now that you mentioned it, I remember we were gonna go there, but I didn't know that we had to finalize a specific spot.
Yeah, we haven't yet, 'cause we need test data back to ensure that we get the volume and quality that we want out there.
Okay.
In the memo, there's a lot of discussion about the connection with the existing filtration system. Is there an expectation of higher nitrates in that meet the filtration?
Well, the filtration's for iron and manganese. There's no nitrate treatment there.
Not in that one.
Yeah. But traditionally in our whole area, that Wellfield area, the river, the Plover, river valley, if you will, which is unique because it veers off from the actual river. There's a really, really old, ancient, if you will, river valley that goes off to the northwest. That's where we've drilled a lot of our wells, and they traditionally have a pretty high iron and manganese level, which means that no matter where we go in that area, we're probably gonna have some iron and manganese. And since the treatment plant at well 4 is still a very functional facility, it's just the well itself that is bad. We definitely want to make use of the treatment facility by sending water from the new well there.
Now, the wells at the airport, they're similarly treating
No.
iron, manganese?
Nope, the only other one is 11. Oddly enough, 11 has some of the cleanest raw water we have, but we have a big treatment plant there. But that is definitely something on the horizon. With more testing requirements in the future, it's very likely that we'll see, and I'm talking out, 5-10 years now at a minimum, we'll very likely see some manganese regulatory limits put on us. And at that time, what we'd end up doing is putting a treatment plant at the well field. Because right now, all we do is pump the water out of the ground and down to a common treatment place, but treatment from a chemical perspective, not a physical perspective. So we put in the chlorine, fluoride, and polyphosphate, and that's it. So there may come a day when we need to treat well-filled water too, but as it stands right now, our demand system-wide means that we don't have to run every well out there, because we have a couple that are higher in iron and manganese, but we have a couple that are really low too, and so those are prioritized in the pumping matrix. Yeah.
And then just a separate question, going back to switching the mill, from river water to city water for fire protection. Does that involve now a new meter, or is it all behind there?
Yeah, on fire protection, the way the rates go, the use of water, the testing and everything is included in your rate. There's no metering on fire lines typically, unless it's a combined line. Like when you get into a mobile home park, for example, we'll have, at least in one case, it's one way you can do it, and we've got one large master meter that actually serves all of the park and fire hydrants. So it's a bit of a, almost like a compound meter where the big side's there when it needs it, otherwise it meters it through a small side, so it's more accurate for regular residential use.
What I was reflecting on is, you know, when we converted all the res halls and installed sprinkler systems after the fact, then I think we were dealing with 2 meters.
Yeah, I think you had to put it in before the meters, what probably happened. Am I wrong there? I don't think we meter, because they don't flow often, right? I mean, hopefully, that's the point. You do some testing and they do that, so.
Wondering.
Yeah, we don't, the only metered fire lines that I know of that we have are where it's the, feed to an entire system, like a mobile home park or something like that, yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, on to sewage treatment operations, Chris.
All right, good afternoon. The wastewater plant met all of our DNR permit limits for the month of March. Big news is we got the dryer back up and running.
Good.
So fill costs will be put on hold for hopefully eternity. And we're processing right now and everything is going pretty well. Nothing really exciting other than that. Any questions?
Nope, good report, thank you. Construction and maintenance,
Good afternoon, everyone. Spring is upon us, frost finally came out of the ground for us, so we're busy installing some storm pipe. We got one project done, working on the second one on, Fleet Farm, and it's going slow, on cable, but they're doing a good job. Getting it done for us at least. When we meet next time, that might be flushing fire hydrants for the spring season. Probably that week before, we're gonna start our lead service replacement for the year also, so I'll get about 36 or 37 done this year, so we can be done with them next year, hopefully. For the lead replacement program, so.
thank you. Okay, on to the MS4 Annual Report.
I'd like to say nothing to add, but, you know, this is painfully boring. So this is one of our annual, reports across the department. This one has some specific language about having taken it to your governing body. So, governing body, here you go. It's kind of the way it goes. This report outlines the things we do from an operational perspective, the education and outreach that we do in very general terms, things that are on our website, training things that are done, the fact that we talk about stormwater here at these meetings when it's appropriate. It outlines how many outfalls we have, any complaints we got, which actually we didn't document any illicit discharge complaints this year that we had to follow up on. Things like how many erosion controls and inspections did you do? You'll see that on page 39. We did 421 of those this year, which is pretty heavy. And actually, I think that's all due to the fact that we got it organized into an app now, right? So we can see how many we did rather than manually cataloging those. It gets into some of the things related to how we work with the streets department and the fact that we do use street sweeping as a best management practice, and we tell the DNR that we do them 3 times a year, so we hold them accountable to that and say, hey, we need to do this 3 times a year. And things like salt and salt sand mix and the use of salt brine on the roads as basically a contaminant source so that can be kept track of. So this really is kind of a hey, what did you guys do this year, and are you up to speed on all your permit requirements? So the answer is yes, we are, and if you have any questions about this, I'd certainly field them now or in the future. Totally your call.
Who rates this report?
I put the report together online. It has a fillable PDF, so they put the details that they want out there, and you basically fill it in. So it's the DNR's report where things are filled in by staff. Yeah.
On page 45, there's a breakdown of expenditures for the different elements. It seems when we do our annual budget or when we see some costs come through, there's always a question related, well, what's his charge for tree planting?
Mm-hmm.
And this is part of, you know,
Yeah.
Is that part of this?
No.
Part of this?
I mean, it could be. So this, you'll see that bottom item, other, is the big one there. This form doesn't fit our operation that well. You know, this form really, when you look across the state, a lot of people that have an MS4 permit from the DNR who have to do this are operating under, this is a function of public works or something like that, where they're part of the general fund of the city and there's a lot of other things going on, but we've got a utility surrounding this thing. So it would be easier for us to say, hey, based on all the different things that are organized basically under the same chart of accounts that we do water under, right? That's how we structure this stuff, same way with stormwater. We could report anything that they wanted to know, but it doesn't necessarily break into these things that conveniently. They want to know these things are funded. Honestly, we haven't changed these numbers in years because there isn't a target, there isn't an expectation, they're just curious. And so when it comes to these elements like public education and outreach and participation, like the illicit discharge detection and elimination, that's really kind of around, okay, we have some staff time involved in that, cause you send guys out and you go and you look at the outfalls and you do outfall monitoring and stuff like that. So it's roughly how many hours every year. This other stuff, we do far more than what is listed here from a storm utility perspective. But this stuff is very specific to, items that you're required to do through your permit with the public education outreach, the IDDE, post-construction stormwater management. We should actually, I'll change that one next year, because with that many surveys, we certainly put a lot more time into it than that. But we don't exactly, budget that way. But this has done the trick for them, so kind of a if it ain't broke type thing. But yeah.
This is for our information, is it?
Yeah, no, there's, if you wanted to make a motion, it would be to accept the report and place it on file type thing. But I can say that I reported it to the commission now, so I've got what I need, to be honest.
Let's make a motion, that'll make the regulators feel better.
Yeah, yeah.
So moved, Nachman.
Second it.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Joel?
Yeah, so we, have awarded the project for 2022 for school, county, city work. Some emails that I saw this morning indicate that they will be out marking some stuff this week. So our big project for fiber is underway. Everything's going according to plan. We have one deadline on the whole thing, and that is the connection to Kennedy School in Junction City. So they're gonna be tackling that one first. Other than that, there's no hard stops in this project, so everything's going well there, and I've got nothing to add for the director's report.
Nothing to add for directors?
Right.
Okay. So a motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.